بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. We were discussing about arrogance and pride, and we left off at the part about showing off with one's wealth before the less privileged people is also a type of arrogance and pride. So, for example, look at those people who built the Titanic. And that time, the ship cost over $7.5 million. And that's a lot of money nowadays, but in that time is even more money. It's worth even more. So they said now it's equivalent to like $400 million today. So the people were arrogant, they were flaunting their wealth, and it was said that, don't know if it's true, if it's said or not, but some people are saying that the owner or the builder said that not even God can sink the ship. Yet, they realized this truth when the ship sank, and it took the lives of over 1,500 people. So, sometimes people, they have money and they think that this money makes them immune to death. I remember funny is I don't know to laugh or to cry at this. So my friend was trying to buy a house here in Antalya, and the realtor was taking him around and showing them places. And there was a nice place, and the price was good, but outside of the balcony, the view was a graveyard. And I was like, well, on the bright side, every day you go outside and have your chai, you'll be remembered of death and it'll make you very pious. And he's like, I don't know if I want to look at the graveyard every single day, the rest of my life. This is my view. And they said it's a private graveyard. The realtor told my friend, she said, this private graveyard is owned by a very rich family. So don't worry about it. They have a lot of money and they don't die too often. So she she's saying like because they have a lot of money, they're not dying that often. Only people who don't have money are dying all the time. But it's not the case. So sometimes people think that money will push away death, but we see this not to be true. In Quran, Surah Qasas, ayat 76 through 81 says, surely Qarun was of the people of Musa, but he rebelled against them. And we had given him of the treasure so much that his hoards of wealth would certainly weigh down a company of men possessed with great strength. When his people said to him, do not show off or do not exult, Allah does not love those who are exultant. He said, I have been given this only on the account of the knowledge that I have. So he went forth to his people and with his nice things. Thus we made the earth to swallow him and his abode. So he had nobody to help him or to assist him against Allah, nor was he of those who could defend himself. So we see that he didn't give any acknowledgement to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of the things that he has as being the giver of sustenance, al-Razak. And he said that I have all of these things because of what I know. And he was proud of what he knew and said, I got all of this on my own. We have narration in Bahar Anwar that says Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi prohibited the people to walk and dress in a proud manner. He said, one who wears a nice dress and feels proud of it will be taken to the lowest level of hellfire and made a companion of Qarun, because Qarun was one of the first people to be proud. Due to this, the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had caused his house to be swallowed by the earth. So one who competes in the greatness of Allah has waged war against Allah. And he also said, the one who frowns on a needy person, oppresses him, or looks down on him will be raised in the day of judgment in the form of an ant, and he will be assigned to the hellfire. So just looking down on someone because of the way they look or the way they are needy or to oppress them, they'll be raised in something so small as an ant where the people on day of judgment will be walking over them and trampling them and something that is seen as insignificant. So we shouldn't look down on other people because of the way they are dressed or the money that they have or the car they drive or all of these other things. I'll tell you a funny story about when I met my teacher, Sheikh Mohammed Bakr Najad, for the first time in Virginia. Maybe you know him. I don't know. I think maybe he came to the center once. I'm not sure, long time ago. So this happened before I decided to start studying Hausa. So I was invited to a barbecue and by a group of Iranians. They hold this annual Islamic events for 15th of Sha'ban and Eid al-Ghadir. So this one was for 15th of Sha'ban. And they hold these events outside of the centers and Husseinias because they reach a different group of people that maybe they don't come to Husseinia or they don't come to Masjid because maybe whatever their reasons are, but they'll come to these events and they're able to reach them with the message about Imam Mahdi, Ajallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. So my teacher came to give Farsi lecture, and I was invited by his brother-in-law. We're close friends. So thinking this is a barbecue, right? I wore shorts and a t-shirt because it's summertime, it's barbecue. You want to go to barbecue. This is normal, apparel for the barbecue. So I didn't get the memo that the event changed to an indoor event, and the dress code was very formal. So, I lived in Maryland, and the event was I was like on Maryland side of DC. The event was on Virginia side of DC, so the total opposite side of the city. So, you know, uh, if I turned around and went home, I would have, to change, I would miss the event basically. To go all the way home and then all the way back, the event would be over. So I said, you know what? I feel silly because I'm in shorts and t-shirt. Everyone is in suits and ties and, very nice dress and everything. But I decided to stick it out anyway. And, I was severely underdressed and, I was sitting at a table hoping no one important would sit there and, notice me. And I'm the only one there with shorts and t-shirt. And, you know, so here comes the Sheikh. He's walking into the building and he comes and he sits right next to me. I'm like, oh my God. So he sat next to me and I was very embarrassed, but he didn't even make a comment about the clothes that I had or anything like this to make me feel bad. Like, why did you come here like this or like that? And we had a very nice, great conversation for about 30 minutes about my life as a convert and wanting to learn more about the Imam of our time. And this led to us eventually to stay in touch with each other. And then he ended up becoming my main teacher for my Hausa studies. So, you know, a lot of people, when they would have been in that situation, they would say, why are you come here like this? Or why do you look like that? Or why did you drive this type of junky car or wear these old clothes or something like this? And it would push the person away. We have to treat everybody nice and with akhlaq, and this will keep the people coming back. So back to the text, he says, narrated in Bahar al-Anwar that one day Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was passing by a group of people and they were very like fixated on something, watching someone. So when he asked about this, they said that they were watching a crazy person performing some like things that make them laugh. So Rasulullah, he said that the person isn't crazy, but he was suffering from a type of nervous disorder, like nerve disorder or something. So Rasulullah asked the people if they'd like to know who the real crazy person is, the real Majnun, the mad one. His companion said, yes, Rasulullah. So he said, the insane is the one who walks in a proud manner, and he looks right and left, exalting himself, moving his shoulders and sides in a vain way. And at the same time, he expects of Allah Almighty to grant him Jannah, whereas he is busy in disobeying Allah, and people are not safe from his mischief, and neither do they expect any goodness from him. This person is the real insane person. You know, some people they believe that they are entitled to Jannah, that they are doing Allah a favor as being a Muslim. And some people believe that they are God's chosen people on this earth, similar to like how the Jews have this belief about themselves. And this belief was rejected in Quran. Allah says in Surah Al-Jumu'ah, ayah 6, O Jews, if you claim to be Allah's chosen people out of all humanity, then wish for death, if what you say is true. Obviously, they're not going to do that. They don't want to wish for death. This is a claim that they are making for themselves. Also, to consider oneself to be pure, the purest, and deserving honor and respect, and to make a show about it is a type of arrogance. We see that one should never strive to make oneself seem above other people. It's a type of arrogance. Whereas when we look at the great example of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we would find that he would sit with the people in such a way that when people would come and visit Masjid Nabawi, they would have to ask, where is Muhammad? Where is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Because he was sitting with the people in a way that he wasn't exalting himself over the others. He wasn't in a special place or special seat or elevated above one or the other. He sat with the regular people in the masjid. Allah says, Surah An-Najm, ayat 32, therefore do not attribute purity to your souls. He knows best who guards against evil. He also says, have you not considered those who attribute purity to their self? Nay, Allah purifies whom He pleases, and they shall not be wrong the husk of a date stone. See how they force the lie against Allah, and this is sufficient as a greater sin. If you see a person attributing purity to himself, saying basically like he is a ma'soom or something, and he's trying to make a show of how pious he is or how righteous he is and how he doesn't commit any sins, this is an indicator that he definitely is not purified. Because a person who is at a high level of taqwa would never ever mention his position to someone else to say that I am so great, I don't commit any sins, I do this, I do that, I refrain from this, I refrain from that. All of this is for show. They are missing the point. So a person who is truly pious would not talk about himself or try to be arrogant. So a show of one's knowledge and the claim of having met such and such a scholar, for example, is an act of pride. This is based on intention of the person. So it should never be done in a way to, make oneself seem to be above the other people. One should never claim superiority over the others. When it comes to knowledge, one should not say that he feels he knows everything and everyone else is ignorant, for example. One who studies and seeks knowledge, maybe in the beginning, he thinks he knows a lot. But as time goes on, he realizes how little he actually does know. And then he realizes at one point, that I don't know anything at all, basically, because we can study our whole entire life and we've only scratched the surface. We've only acquired a drop from the sea of knowledge. We the more you know, the more you realize that you don't know. You are always finding things out that you don't know. For example, I've been reading books about Islam for over 20 years. To date, myself, I found something that I never knew before. And I said, wow, I didn't know this actually. And I read it just today after all of these years of studying. So you will always learn new things, and there's always things that we don't know. And Imam Ali alayhi salam says, the one who gives up saying, I don't know, he will meet destruction. Because sometimes people are arrogant and they don't want to seem like they don't know. So when they are asked questions, instead of just saying, I don't know, let me get back to you with that. Let me take your number or email. I'll get back to you and give you the right answer. Unfortunately, they make up things and they say wrong, ideas and wrong things. And then we have to come later and, fix those things. And God forbid someone gives someone a wrong idea, and then that person goes on for the rest of their life doing that wrong action that a scholar or someone else told them, and they couldn't fix it because they didn't see that person again, or. So we have to be very careful with the information that we give, that is the right information. He says, or to flaunt one's piety. For example, to say that for years I prayed Salatul Layl, I fasted in every day for so many years, or to say that person is, he maybe that person, he has more money than me, but you know what? I performed Hajj and Ziyarat way more times than he did. All of these is a type of showing off. And we shouldn't worry about what others are doing, trying to compare ourselves to others or compare ourselves to them, like they say, keeping up with the Joneses. Rather we should focus on ourselves and focus on doing good deeds and not making a show of them. There's a beautiful narration from Imam Bakr alayhi salam. It says, to preserve and basically hold on to the good deed in your scroll of deeds is more difficult than even doing the action itself. They asked him to explain this, and he said, when a person helps his relative and gives him money for the sake of Allah, who has no partner, it is recorded that he did this secretly for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is his good deed. He gave his relative some money. Only his relative and Allah knows this. But if he mentions this good deed to someone else, then it will be reclassified. Our actions get reclassified. He said it will be reclassified in the deeds that he did openly, which is still a good deed, but not as good as the one done in secret. Now he told someone else, he said, oh, you know what? I gave my cousin, $100 or something. Now that deed moved to a different category of being done in the open because other people know about it now. Imam says if he mentions it again to someone else, then it will be classified as a deed for showing off to the people. So it actually goes from a good deed and turns into something that is against us because we're using that good action now to flaunt over other people, to be proud and arrogant and doing it for show, not for fi sabilillah, or the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The author says even to hint at one's greatness is not allowed, like to allege that so and so person had oppressed me and now he died an untimely death, or he is afflicted with a dreadful disease, or now he has become poor, because such statements are an effort to show one's extraordinary powers. Similarly, to claim that one's prayers were answered instantly by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a way to show it comes down to the niyyah, because if you tell someone, I prayed and Allah answered me right away because of this dua that I made in this place or something at this time or something like that. And if you're saying it in a way to encourage the other person to also make dua, this would be okay. But in order to show oneself like all my duas are answered, and yours aren't answered, or uh, when someone went against me, for example, they died, or in a way to say that I am pure, I am good, and this thing and the other, anyone who challenges me will meet a bad ending or something like this, in a type of arrogance. So this is comes down to the niyyah. Allah will judge us based on our intentions. So some indicators of pride he gives. Said the first one, when we speak to a person having same social status as us regarding a fact, which is difficult for that person to accept, and he doesn't want to accept it, it denotes that he is proud. This is for those who are stubbornly proud, meaning that they are too proud to accept a fact, even if they know it is true. They'd rather hold on to the bad idea or the wrong position that they hold and than to admit that they were wrong. It could be something that the sky is blue But they said the sky was green, and they would not bend on that, and they would rather, just stick on that position no matter what, because they're too proud to admit that they are wrong. So these type of people have arrogance. I said we find this a lot with those who debate, those who, when you're debating someone else and they don't want to accept the truth, no matter what you show them, they don't want to accept it. Even when they came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they told him to split the moon. Rasulullah split the moon. They didn't accept it. They said, okay, put the moon back together. Okay, he put the moon back together. They didn't accept it. They didn't want to accept the fact that they were wrong and that he was actually a prophet. So they said he's a magician, he's a sorcerer, because they don't want to humble themselves to admit that they were wrong and submit to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The second one, if in gatherings and social events he finds it difficult to sit in a place which is below his dignity, or he dislikes to walk behind other people, he wants to be in the front, then this person is proud. So this person, he wants to be at the center of attention, he wants to be treated as VIP. His chair should be different than others who he feels are commoners or who are beneath him, for example. And we should not be like this, even if we do have a respectable position. Um, I remember going to Ziyarat Arba'in I went alone, but I brought my youngest son with me. And at that time, he was 20 months old. So he flew for free. And I was like, I should take him with me. And it was a bit challenging, but it was fun and it was memorable and it was a good trip. So I had the pleasure of staying at this mujtahid's house, who was living in Karbala, Sheikh Jafar Rafati, very good sheikh. And I was laying on the floor in the other room, and he came in and he got me, and he basically forced me to use this cot that he was laying on. Everyone was sleeping on the floor, but there was one cot. And this elderly, he's not really old, but he's not young either. He could be like my father's age. So he basically forced me to take his spot on that cot and lay down with my son, and he went and took my place on the floor. I felt so bad. I was like, "No, Sheikhna, you sleep in there. Don't worry about us. We're okay." And he he wouldn't take no for an answer, and he took me and made me go lay down in the bed with my son, and he slept on my place on the floor. So this reminds me of someone not being arrogant and feeling one's position should be the highest and he should have the best. This is a mujtahid. But some people, they, want their place to be the best place. And if they feel too proud to sleep on the floor, for example, or their chair has to be different. And I remember hearing one time about some place that all the board members or something had special seats that were look kind of golden like thrones, and no one else was allowed to sit in those except those special board members. And like, this is putting oneself in a position that like you are above the other people. We shouldn't do these type of things. As I said, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would sit with the people in a way that they wouldn't even recognize who is the prophet and who is other people. The third thing he says, if he finds it difficult to salute a person lower than him in social status, then he is proud. So someone who is younger than him, for example, he finds it hard to give him salam. He wants that person to give him salam. He feels, or she feels, I am the one who is worthy. Everyone should greet me and come to me and give me salam. But when we look at riwayat from Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, we see that Imam Rida alayhi salam said, if one sees a poor person and greets him in a manner different from the way he greets a rich man, he will meet Allah on Yawm al-Qiyamah with Allah being angry with him. Also, Imam Askari alayhi salam said to greet everyone you pass by and to sit in a place other than the first class of a session are signs of modesty. So, to give salam to everyone that you meet, whether old, young, child, anyone who passes by, to give salam to them and not to care about sitting in the best seat in an assembly or a majlis or something like this, a gathering, these are signs of being modest. And one of the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, also companion of Imam Ali alayhi salam, who died defending Amir al-Mu'mineen in the Battle of Siffin, Ammar ibn Yasir, he says, whoever possesses the collection of these three attributes has acquired faith, charity at the times of poverty, selflessness, and giving salam to everyone, greeting everyone. The fourth indicator of being proud is it is difficult for him to accept the invitation of poor people or to sit with beggars is a sign of pride. We find in Sahifa Sajadiyah that Imam Sajjad alayhi salam in the 35th dua, he says, "O Allah, save me from it that I may think that the poor stays at a low and abject place or think that the rich and wealthy have a superior station. Because noble is the one who is honored by your obedience, and respected is the one who is made worthy of respect by your service." So being poor or rich has nothing to do with it. It is how much we are a servant to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how much we obey Allah, how much we are submitted to Allah. Also, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, he said, you should love the poor Muslims. Whoever debases and humbles them will deviate from Allah's religion, and Allah will debase him. Our father Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "My Lord ordered me to love the poor Muslims." You must know that Allah will throw hatred and belittlement upon whoever humiliates any of the Muslims, so that people will hate him intensely. Fear Allah in regard to the poor Muslims, your brothers. It is obligatory on you to love them, since Allah ordered His Prophet to love them. Whoever dislikes those whom Allah ordered His Prophet to love is disobeying Allah and His Messenger. He who disobeys Allah and His Messenger upon his death, he will be reckoned as one of those who returned into a rebel. Beware of pride and arrogance, because arrogance is Allah's dress, and He will surely subdue and humiliate him whoever tries to take His dress. So we see here that a sign of pride is not to accept the invitation of the poor, not to want to sit with them, not to want to be with them because they feel they are better than them. Whereas we see that Allah commanded Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to love the poor, to be with them, to help them, to sit with them, all of these things. The fifth one is if he feels it is below his dignity to purchase household items and to carry them home, he is proud. Meaning he is too proud to go and buy what he needs. He wants to send other people to do his stuff for him because he feels that if someone sees him in the market, they will look down on him. It says here, but considering his social status and the prevailing circumstances, if such an action would be the cause of criticism and backbiting among the people, then there is no blame on him. So it becomes earth. If because he does this, people will, for example, criticize him and talk bad about him, and it will cause to a lot of problems, then it's better for him to send someone else, for example. Sixth one, if a person is averse to wearing clothes of inferior quality and desires to wear only, for example, luxury brands, considering them to be a sign of greatness. For example, he only will wear Gucci or Louis Vuitton or all of these other things, then he is proud. He feels if I wear in Gucci, if I wear a Nike or a Reebok or a H&M or Old Navy or Gap or something like this is beneath me because I only wear luxury brands. You know, this is a sign of being proud, except only in the case when inferior dress may cause disrespect to the person. For example, one has a car and he doesn't care if he drives an old car or a brand new car, for example, it doesn't matter to him. But the earth of the society will say if he drives a old beat up car, people, it will be bad, look bad to him, like on him. For example, in Kuwait, they told me this: if the sheikh drives a bad car, then it doesn't look good for him. Even the sheikh walking, like in Najaf, they're walking everywhere. But in Kuwait, no, the sheikh needs to have a nice car, or they'll say the people are not taking care of him, or it looks bad for him, because that's the earth of that society, for example. Seventh thing, and the last one, we'll end with this. If one does not like to sit together with the servant or the student, it is a sign of pride or arrogance. And we have to remember that we are all children of Adam alayhi salam. And we find in the historical accounts, for example, that the companion of Imam Rida alayhi salam saw him eating with the African servants, and he suggested to the Imam that maybe you should sit over here and eat on different sufra, like a table spread. And the Imam, rebuked him for that. And he told him that, we are all from the children of Adam. We are like the teeth on the comb. We are all uh, basically from the same person, from Adam alayhi salam. And the Imam refused to move, and he ate with the servants. And this is the akhlaq of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, that is so beautiful, that they didn't, even though they were the best of creation, the most noble, the proof of Allah on this earth, they still didn't put themselves above everyone else. They sat with the servants and ate with them. This is the best akhlaq, and we should follow them and what they do, inshallah. So we've run out of time, and inshallah, we'll stop here. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala